Welcome to the July 20th, 2020 meeting of the Stormwater Advisory Committee for the town of Smyrna. Some of you that have been watching recently, you may notice that we're working with plexiglass screens between us here so that we can conduct this meeting without wearing our mask. I believe that our first item on the list, of course, is called to order, which we've just done. Next item on the list is presentation of certificates of appreciation for the WAC members. Greg, you going to take care of that?
Yes, I am. Frank Musgrave, 10 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Rhett Kimball, 11 years. Thank you, Rhett. Daniel Newburn, 3 years. Thank you, Daniel. Catherine is not here. Abhi Patra, 2 years. Thank you, Abhi. And Douglas Brown, 1 year.
Thank you very much.
We normally do this in April, but because of COVID, it's been delayed. All your certificates have been signed by Mayor Reed, and she's very appreciative of your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda for tonight is citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens who want to make a comment? If not, we'll go to item number 4. Introduction of new Stormwater Advisory Committee member. You going to take care of that? We got a new
Yes.
member?
Our new member is Charles Skur. Welcome aboard, Charles. Charles comes from Miami, Florida. And he told me this not too long, just a few minutes ago, that he was the city manager there.
Of a couple cities down there,
Very good.
and I was also the stormwater utility executive.
All right.
In name only, I didn't do any work, but in name only, I was the stormwater utility person.
Well, thank you for selecting SWAC as as one of your committees to
I
join.
look forward to working with everyone.
Thank you.
Next item on the list is one we've all been looking forward to, I suppose. Election of new officers. Floor is now open for nominations for the position of chairman of this committee. Anybody have a comment or want to address the committee in any way? If not, please, somebody step forward and make a nomination.
I nominate Mr. Musgrave.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
I appreciate that. Do we have any other nominations? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, it looks like I will be serving as committee chairman for another year. Item number 4, or number 6. Review and approve minutes for the January 12th.
Vice Chairman.
What?
You got another officer for the Vice Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was about to skip over that. Another officer for the committee would be the vice chairman. Well, floor is open for nominations.
I'll nominate Rick Kimball for that.
I second that.
Any others? Any comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We'll continue on now with the agenda. Review and approve the minutes for the January 27th Stormwater Advisory Committee meeting. As most of you recall, there was no meeting held in April. So we're kind of a quarter behind on electing officers and proceeding with business. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes for the January 27th meeting as submitted by staff?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 27th.
Second.
Have a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Oh, somebody gave a second? Okay,
You got a couple of things.
yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Skip that item. Do we have any opposed? Okay, ayes. Any opposed? No opposal. We'll continue with new business. Consent and correction agenda. Greg, do we
Okay.
have any submitted by the staff?
Yes, we
Correction
do.
agenda.
In your packet, you would have received what is called a stormwater fee vacant account list, and you would have received two of those, one dated 3/30/2020, I should say, and 6/30/2020. You'll see in the far left column, and there are three total for those 2 quarters. But you have the previous occupant, and those occupants have left the premises. And in the next column, you'll have your property address that's specific as to where that property is located, an account number and the fee amount, that sort of thing. Because they are no longer there, the responsibility of paying that stormwater utility fee goes back to the property owner, and you'll find their names next to the last column towards the right, as well as their address, which is the final column there. So you'll see that there are 3 individuals that will be receiving a letter that I'll put together tomorrow with a copy of this, informing them that, hey, you're responsible for that fee until you rent that out again to somebody else. Do you have any questions about what that table presents to you?
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we approve the consent correction agenda as recommended by the staff.
Got a recommendation for approval, got a second?
Second.
Second, okay. So the new business consent correction agenda has been approved. Oh, I'm sorry, got to take a vote on it. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. So the consent and correction agenda has been approved. Adjustment of application for this month, none. Created applications, none. Report for officers, committees, or staff. Greg, you got something to tell us?
Yeah, I do. We did not have any inquiries about the stormwater utility fee. But I do have 2 quarterly reports and an annual report to present, if you'd like me to proceed with that, Frank?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. What I'd like to start first off with the number of grading permits that we've had so far this year through June 30th. We've had 14. The past 3 years, we've had 44, and then, last year we had 44, and that was a record setter, and the 2 years before that, both were 41. So you can see that if we're at 14 halfway through the year, we're not going to be breaking any records this year. I just wanted to pass that along, but there's still a lot of projects out there that require our attention, and we've been reviewing quite a few of them. They're just not getting their grading permits as quickly as what they normally would. I'd like to go through the quarterly reports fairly quickly. I'm assuming you've all had a chance to look at the April 20th and the July 20th quarterly reports. It's the same format we use every time. We just do a file save as and replace the new information for the old information. If you go, you can see the amount of, about 2/3 of the way down the first page, you can see the amount of income that will be coming in from the different grading permits that were approved during that quarter. It's pretty straightforward and also tells the different types, whether it's residential, industrial, or commercial. We've been looking at a lot of plans. We haven't had many illicit discharges during that quarter. Dwayne inspected some 250 locations, sites. Only issued one violation, notice of violation, which is good. And he also finished up conducting another round of freestanding grease receptacles, which totals somewhere, I think it's a little over 100. And just moving on down, further down on page 2, you'll see that the water quality monitoring is dependent upon the MTSU grad students. And since they have not been in session, I've been in close contact with Dr. Frank Bailey with the biology department, and we're hoping that here this fall we'll pick this back up again. We'll be doing 3 semesters. This is a line item P, and they'll be doing the bacteriological, macroinvertebrate, chemical and physical sampling, and then I'll also do some sampling in conjunction with our visual stream assessment, which is line item O right above it. We follow the U.S. Geological Survey protocol. I've done all the site inspections, analyzing the stream bottom and other parameters that are indicative of erosion and whatnot in the stream itself. So that is basically on hold. Unfortunately, a lot of our adopt-a-stream work has been on hold as well, but we're going into more detail on that when we look at the annual report. Susan, who's in charge of the calling complaints about drainage issues, they handled 14 during the that first quarter. Now during the second quarter, it's pretty much the same. It's all formatted the same. Dwayne did 245 inspections. You can see we just had one illicit discharge this time. He also, I think he inspected the freestanding grease receptacles again. I also assisted him in inspecting quite a few detention ponds during this period of time as well. Our friends with Vallejo had a highway, adopt a highway, or is that adopt a road? It's adopt a road, and then the town of Smyrna staff did adopt the highway right out here on Lowry Street. And Susan handled 37 citizen inquiries. Much of these inquiries are passed on to our street department, which is headed up by Lee Parnell. Any questions about the quarterly reports? Hearing none, I'll move on to the annual report.
I have a question, Greg.
Yes.
I noticed on the one where the Dr. String cleanup events were obviously canceled for obvious reasons, and then the next one, Stormwater program staff removed 31 bags of litter. Are you noticing, obviously, since you're not having your Dr. String programs, a lot excessive trash since you're not able to do these programs, or looking okay, pretty good?
Well, I would say I'm at the stream cleanups when we have the adopt-a-stream, and I really haven't done any numerical comparisons between, but I don't think our source of litter has dropped off any. When we were told to stay at home and work out of the house, I thought, well, if we don't have any students out here cleaning, maybe I could do that. So I took those sites that they normally cleaned, barring 1 or 2, and I cleaned them because we still needed the litter to be removed.
Right.
So that's basically what we did there. We're sure hoping that the fall adopt-a-stream program will kick back in gear once they come back to school. Okay. With the annual report, I wanted to, you were sent an email pointing out 3 changes, and I wanted to point those out to you real quickly. Basically, what happened was on the first one, which is on page 2, we help fund the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and they used to do radio spots about water quality all over the state. Now they've shifted to Facebook. So I inadvertently missed that when I wrote up the annual report to start with. I apologize for that. If you go to page 4, you'll see on 7B, and this in the this one was, we had a discussion, as you may know, we had a program audit, a 5-year program audit last Tuesday and Wednesday, where the coordinator for the entire MS4 program, which consists of probably well over 100 programs, 4 phase 1s and then, gosh, 96 to 100 phase 2, which we are. He did our program audit for the first time. I've known Robbie for quite some time, but he was exceptionally thorough. But as he's very thorough, he explains a lot and helps you out. And we obtained a better understanding, especially how to answer 7B. And basically, he thinks that we were doing a better job of training our folks than maybe we thought we were. I would rather err on the side of putting no instead of yes in some of these questions. And then on page 5, I totally forgot that we had annexed, even though the first 2 grading permits that we issued were in the new annexed areas in early April. But we did pick up 586.57 acres and 16,942 feet of right-of-way. So, much of that right-of-way is Jefferson Pike, as you may know from the west side of Percy Priest Lake or Stones River, where we hold boat day all the way out to 840, has now been annexed. So that's that comprises much of that right-of-way. So you've received an up-to-date annual report, including all these changes in front of you there. Pretty much what we're reporting for the most part is what we did in the fall, especially with Adopt the Stream and the stream cleanups. So we did, as you can see on the second page, line item E, we had, or F I should say, we had quite a few participants there, and that's growing as we go. And line item E, you'll see what was done by our project WET, Water Education for Teachers, and that also was done the fall, and there was also an event in the late spring of this year. So we're keeping as active as we can. And moving along, I'm thinking that we had 432 outfalls that I inspected, and Dwayne's been very busy with, oh gosh, where is that, Dwayne? Way back here on sheet page 5, you can see where the enforcement response plan, he had 5 written notices for construction sites and 1 stop work order for construction, 1 written notice for permanent stormwater, that's basically your detention ponds or devices, and 2 illicit discharge written notices. Yeah, we've already touched base in line item 10. We've touched base on the stream monitoring already. Above there in line item 8, we've talked about the annexation. How many construction sites disturbing at least 1 acre or greater in the jurisdiction? So that's 100 to 105. So We have one sediment control measure inspector. He's sitting right over here to my right, Dwayne Lawson. In 2008, we got lucky and picked up Dwayne. He's a great worker. I really appreciate all the work he does. And of course, our staff that helps us out, Catherine Smith and Susan Weber and Tom Rose, have all been, we're quite a team. And of course, Charles King. Charles and I will be 6 feet apart looking at the new sets of plans that come in for review on Tuesday towards the end of the month, and then the 2 Wednesdays after we look at them again. So, in a nutshell, a big nutshell, I guess, are there any, one, I'll give ourselves an attaboy. The MS4 coordinator said we're doing very well. We actually submitted more documents to him by the deadline before the audit than anybody else, and we were his 30th audit. So we're thinking we're doing pretty well. He thought we were too. Any questions at all about the quarterly reports or the annual reports? Okay. So do I have anything else? I don't have anything else. Tom, do you have anything?
Just a couple of things. One, I just want to mention some of the projects that we've been working on. We recently completed some drainage work on Shadowwood Drive, and currently we are still working out on McClary and Lawson. It's near the intersection of Nissan Drive and Lake Farm. We're installing several stormwater inlets, some pipes to go underneath McClary, also at the end of Lawson as well, and some ditches to go between the back sides of the homes that abut between Lake Farm and McClary, as well as McClary and Lawson, and then doing some ditch work behind Lawson as well. As you may be familiar with frequent flooding from flash flooding events that occur in that area. Our contractor is working on, we went out to an engineering consulting company to evaluate that area. They did a design, and we gave it to our stormwater contractor to do the work, and currently it's underway at this time. A couple things I wanted to remind everybody of. Greg had already mentioned a few things that we do here in the Public Works Department regarding stormwater. Is we do have the Adopt a Roadway program that is similar to the state's Adopt a Highway program. Adopt a Roadway is just for the Smyrna-owned roads, and you can apply for that either as a group or even as an individual or something like that, or from your business to go out quarterly and pick up trash on the sides of the roads that we have throughout town. Also, we have the Adopt a Stream program. Again, if you're part of a group, you can adopt a different segment of stream depending on like the age range, ability of the people. Greg works very closely with each group to pair them up with an area of stream that they're be more easily accessed, and they'll be able to get in there and clean that up. Just as a refresher to some of you all, and a little bit of useful information. Some of the things that we can do together, especially as being on the Stormwater Advisory Committee, is be ambassadors into your neighborhood and your groups, at your church or any affiliation you may have, as far as what people can do regarding stormwater in their area. Yard waste, clippings, things like that, not blowing them off into the streets to wash down into the drainage inlets. We're going to be approaching fall here, even though it's like the hottest day in the world this last weekend. I sweated like crazy, but we're going to be approaching fall here in the next few months, and we're going to be seeing some leaves falling. Some little people will be cleaning up the yards, cutting limbs, just advising neighbors, keeping people in mind of the fact that we don't need to just blow all the leaves on top of the inlet structures or in the streets. That washes down and clogs up inlet structures. That could cause some hydroplaning, some flooding issues on the roadway. So just want to, as you're out and about, I'm sure you love to talk about stormwater as much as I do, but if the opportunity comes up, just mention it to everybody to make sure that they help keep the environment safe, so that it's safe for motorists as well. That's all I got. Okay, anybody has any
Mr.
questions?
Chairman, I know we ran into Tom, and unless I'm missing something, typically we would vote on the annual report prior to going into the miscellaneous
Yeah.
area on the thing. So I would make a motion to approve the annual report, TDEC annual report this year.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. We have any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, looks like that's adopted. Tom, I got a question. I'm not sure it has anything to do with Smyrna. I'm sure it don't have anything to do with stormwater, except it's gonna cause more stormwater problems. But what's all the construction that's on Sam Ridley Parkway down and say around in the Home Depot area where it's working on both sides of the highway? Or do you know?
Yeah, Charles King, town engineers, over that project now. We had done a corridor, several years ago, we did a corridor study of Sam Ridley Parkway, and our consultant determined that one of the things that we needed to do is to widen from 2 lanes in each direction to 3 lanes in each direction between I-24 and Old Nashville Highway. So our selected consultant did the design on that, and what we're going to do with that project is currently under construction is we're going to go from a roadway with ditch system, the ditch system to one with a closed drainage system. We're going to be installing storm pipe on each side of Sam Ridley Parkway to take water basically from I-24. Currently it drains all the way toward almost to Old Nashville Highway, right at Kroger's, where there's a large drainage ditch through there. It drains down that direction, so we're going to be taking the water through a closed system down to that low point from both Old Nashville Highway and from I-24. That project, I think it's slated to be finished, I think it's October 2021. So one of the first things they do is they go in and move the utilities out of the way or put new utilities in place, water, sewer, reclaim water, and they're putting the stormwater piping in right now. Then they'll come up and start building the roadway, the extra lanes in each direction out. Also down the median, it's going to be going to a raised median, so there'll be curbing down the middle, raised median, and doing away with the unsignalized intersections between there. There's about 3 of them, just for safety purposes and directing people to traffic signals to be able to make their turning movements.
Is, I believe Bart Wagner was doing some work in downtown area back whenever we had our meetings earlier in the year. Is that project still on?
Front Street, he's talking about Front Street Soccer Park project.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Status, how's that going? It's been in design for a while, it seems.
We are out and acquiring easements for that project, the Master Stormwater project, to take the water from downtown toward the soccer park, then out to Stewart Creek. We're in, like I said, we're currently getting the easement acquisitions for that project, and working with FHWA to try to get federal money for a grant to help fund the construction on that project. So that one's moving along. Just really the funding source is what we're working toward getting established right now.
Okay. Any other comments? Any questions?
I got one question. You said October 2021 for the completion of the Sam Ridley project. Was that just the completion of putting in those drains, or is that the whole expansion supposed to be done by then?
That's the whole project anticipated to be finished, at least a substantial completion. So if we get some really bad weather, rains really bad, or freezes for a long period of time, it could slow us up a little bit, but that's the scheduled completion date at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Anybody want to stay here a little longer? Okay. Stand adjourned.
Thank you.